Hi, this is Rob Warlow from Business Loan Services and welcome to my Friday Business Finance Bulletin, a weekly roundup of news, tips, ideas and strategies on raising finance and dealing with banks. So what have I got for you this week? Well, we're going to be looking at late payment, some strong indicators of growth, and we're going to be looking at one of the leading equity crowdfunding sites and what they've been doing in 2014. And in my business finance tip of the week, I'm going to look at the importance of systems and processes and how if you get these right, it may avoid you having to go out and seek external finance. So let's start off with late payment. As I mentioned in previous bulletins, it really is the bane of the life of many small businesses. Poor cash flow stifles growth. And an interesting survey I was reading this week by Lovetts, which is a commercial debt recovery firm, they found out that in the last quarter of 2014, they've seen an average increase of 30% in the value of the debt that they've been asked to chase on behalf of their clients. So the average amount has gone up from about £42,000 up to £55,000. Now that's a significant jump, and it just shows the pressure that small businesses are under when it comes to cash flow. Now we know I've mentioned in previous bulletins, the government are trying to do everything they can to try and make sure that businesses pay up on time. They're looking to revise the prompt payment code. They're making sure that all government departments are paying on time. They're looking at the possibility of naming and shaming late payers. So it is becoming a bit of a political hot potato. But what can you do? Well, just make sure that you're not a victim. You've really got to fight, be tough, and also don't forget that within the Late Payments Act, there is a provision for you to charge interest on late payment and also an administration fee as well. Now you've got to mention this in your terms and conditions up front and include it in your invoice, but the law is there to protect you, to help make sure that you get the cash flow quickly in order to help you grow. So, talking of growth, another index that I came across this week, and the first time I've actually seen it, it's carried out by Barclays, and it's called the Small Business Income Index. And what they do every year, they look at the volume of money being pushed through the about 600,000 small business accounts that they hold. And in 2014, they've done the calculation. They reckon there's been about an 8% increase in the amount of money flowing through small business accounts that are being held with Barclays. So, that's a pretty good sign of growth. Now, it's a crude indicator, of course, because not all businesses bank with Barclays. Many have split accounts. But on average, it just shows that there's more activity going through. So, what are the sectors that we're improving? Well, perhaps not surprisingly, property, construction and accommodation. Those were the key ones that were showing above average growth. And also in areas, geographical areas, again, perhaps not surprisingly, London and the South East were really leading the pack. But as we know, it starts at one hub and it begins to spread out. So, a very small indicator, but another strong indication of growth. Now, I mentioned previously that growth brings a need for finance. We know that. And one area of finance that many businesses don't really have a look at is equity. That's why selling shares in your business in order to exchange it for cash and cash for growth. Now, one area that is growing is crowdfunding equity. And one leading site there is Crowdcube, crowdcube.com. Now, they just recently came out with a summary of what they did in 2014. And they reported that they helped 105 businesses raise £39.5 million in 2014. And in terms of the amount raised, that's a 246% increase on 2013. So, obviously more businesses willing to give up a bit of control in return for releasing cash so they can fund growth. In terms of the investors, the people who actually take some of this equity, well, Crowdcube say that the number of investors they have increased from 65,000 to 122,000. So all of these private individuals and some companies out there ready to take a slice in your business. So if you've got your head around the idea of letting go of some equity, check out crowdcube.com, and there are other platforms out there as well that will help you sell equity through online platforms. Just go and Google or go to your favorite search engines, equity crowdfunding platforms, and you'll find a good list there. Now, what about my business tip of the week? Well, earlier this week, I was with a business that was really seeking finance to help with some additional working capital to grow. And problem was, they're growing quite quickly, and it was clear that perhaps getting external finance wasn't necessarily the answer. It's a quick fix approach. Now, it's a great business, profitable and got great potential. But one thing that missing was systems and processes. And that's key for a business that is growing. You've got to make sure that you've got a tight control on stock purchases, because the more stock you have sitting on your shelves, that's money that is not sitting in your bank account. You need to have systems to make sure that your work in progress is churned up around as quickly as you can in order to get a job out of the door. You've also got to make sure then that you're invoicing on time. Again, that's all down to systems, systematizing it so it's done automatically. And then of course the last thing you've got to have in place is systems to make sure that invoices are chased so that you don't suffer from late payment. So we spent about 2 hours with this business just going through some of the basic things that they could probably put in place. And you know, I think at the end of that session, we probably came to the conclusion that getting external finance then to improve cash generally probably was the easy approach and well, not necessarily the best approach, because it probably hide an ongoing systemic problem. So if you're looking for finance, just first of all, take a step back and just challenge yourself. Do we really need it? Are there things that we can do in order to speed up cash flow within the business and unlock cash that may be sitting there in debtors and stock, for example? You may surprise yourself and make it a little bit easier on yourself instead of having to go knocking on doors with all the banks. So that's it for this week. As ever, I hope you found it useful, and please feel free to share the link for this video amongst your friends and colleagues. So that's it. Look forward to being with you again next Friday when we'll have more tips and ideas to share with you. Thanks very much and have a great, successful and profitable week. Bye-bye now.